Hello, I'm Tony Filippone. You may have seen my Amazon best-selling book, Reti- Financial Planning for the Not Yet Wealthy, easier for me to say, or How to Have a Happy Retirement, How to Have a Happy and Stress-Free Retirement is my other book. Or you may have seen me around town. I've spoken at Rock Valley College multiple times. We teach a class there. Been teaching a class there for the last 20 years. Maybe you've taken one of my classes or taken one of my free classes at the library on Social Security planning or estate planning. Um, or I don't know how you've wound up here today, but thanks for watching my video. And I wanted to talk to you about an important topic, having an emergency fund and how to replenish it. Well, most of my clients are retired or about to retire, and things change quite a bit dramatically when we retire. But financial security is really about being prepared for life's expenses in a way that allows you to cover important costs while still maintaining the foundation that allows you to cover your regular costs. So, a healthy emergency fund is really a key piece of that puzzle. But when you use it, how do you replenish it? How do you replenish it on a retirement budget? Because it's not the same as when you're working, right? So you don't have as much income potentially coming in for some people. So we need to figure out how do we best manage this retirement, this emergency fund, because we all need to have one. How much should you have in an emergency fund? Usually it's about 6 months of your expenses. And if you're like me, if that starts to dwindle, how do you feel? You start to get a little anxious about it, and I've certainly seen that happen to some of my clients. And this video is about how to help avoid doing that. So, what are some strategies, some ways that we can, replenish that emergency fund so that we always have some liquid cash, down the street at the local bank that we can get our hands on quick, without penalties, without costs, just money that's sitting in the bank, ready for our use if something comes up that we weren't expecting, right? So there's a couple ways we can do this. I think the first way is to make sure we have a rock solid income plan. If we have enough income coming in every month from guaranteed sources like Social Security, maybe a pension, maybe we've set up some kind of a personal pension type of an annuity where we have income coming in every single month. We know exactly how much is coming in. And let's say we try to set that number a little bit higher than what we need every month. Well, then we should be able to continue to save and squirrel a little away for that rainy day, for things that happen. But sometimes the emergencies come at us even faster than our income can replenish. So what do we do? Well, again, we can look at that income plan again. Is it really enough? Maybe we need to carve off another piece of our assets and commit it to an income strategy. Make sure we have enough income coming in, because that's a lot of times that's the problem. Another thing we can do, besides using income annuities to create that, is just to use dividend-paying stocks, or sometimes bonds produce a lot of income where we're getting repeated money in, and we can siphon some of that income off and maybe put it into an emergency fund every so often and build it up, so that when we need that money. I love dividend-paying stocks. Our dividend paying stock portfolio right now is averaging around 4.5% in just dividends. Whether the market's up or down, those dividends just keep coming. We can siphon those dividends off and put those into a bank account every so often to just to have a little extra money to fall back on for emergencies. That's one strategy. We can use our windfalls. You know, Sometimes we get a windfall. Sometimes life goes well, right? Meaning what? We get an unexpected tax refund, would be an example. Sometimes an inheritance. Sometimes we might get a little bonus if we're still working. So we can take that money and set it aside instead of ganging up on our debt. I mean, we want to have a good plan to pay that down if we still are carrying debt. But sometimes instead of just being in such a rush to pay off existing debts, sometimes just taking that bulk of that money and squirreling it away into an emergency fund is a smart move, because, like I said, things are going to happen, right? So use your windfalls wisely, right? Be cautious. Try to put some of that money away They don't come often, but when they do come, let's take full advantage of that. And if we're not getting a big tax deduction, talk to your accountant. Maybe there's things you can do to shore that up and to get some money back at tax time. Um, Negotiate your expenses. Every once in a while, you got to sit down and get on the phone with Verizon, or with your cell phone bill. You got to look at your cable bill. You got to look at some of these bills and say, is there a way? How many streaming services are we subscribed to? I looked at mine not too long ago, and I had two Netflix accounts. Why? I don't know. Uh, I don't watch Netflix at all, and I'm paying for it twice. So sometimes we got to look at things. Say, all right, you know what? I got to cancel a couple of these subscriptions, or so just look at what's going out and take a really good audit of that. And sometimes you can free up a couple $100 a month. Well, if you do, what are we going to do with it? We're going to squirrel it away into that emergency fund, right? Um, Budgeting, just looking where's the money going. I don't say we have to live by a tight budget every single month. I think that's kind of restrictive and sometimes difficult to do. It's kind of like dieting. It may work for a short time, but it's hard to live with it. But tracking where your money's going is always a good idea, right? Just have some kind of system in place to know where your money's going. A lot of people are surprised when they start looking at this. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize I was spending X amount of dollars on going out to eat just for lunches or coffees or what have you. Maybe I can do that half as much. Maybe I don't go out every day. I go out every other day. That type of thing. So we can maybe cut back on some of that. Um, another interesting. My friend Tom Hegna, the economist, talks about having a hybrid retirement. And what he means by that is, working part time and doing something you love, doing something you enjoy. I had a client one time. He retired and he decided he was going to work at Home Depot because he loves going there and giving people advice anyway. He says, so why not get paid for it? So he worked part time at Home Depot making 12, 15 bucks an hour. It was, but it got him out of the house, got him around people. It had a social benefit to it. And, he was earning a little money that he could squirrel away for those emergencies that come up. So it was a good move for him. Find something you love though. If you're going to retire and you've saved well, don't, try to find a job that's you're going to enjoy getting up to do every once in a while, and it doesn't have to be part time. Um, Unneeded assets. Oh my goodness! If you've got stuff hanging around the house that you don't need, we've never been in a better time to get rid of it for a profit. I mean, you can go on the internet, you take a picture and you put it on, and if you don't know how to do it, go recruit your grandkid to help you and tell him you give him 10% of whatever you make. And I bet he'll do it. So, get on eBay or what have you and help and get rid of some stuff. I mean, if I just sold my books, I probably could pay a month or two's expenses with all the books I've bought over the years, right? So look at what you've accumulated and what you're really not using and see if you can maybe get some money for it. You can stock that away into your emergency fund. We can downsize. I can't tell you how many clients I have who get to a certain point and they've got this big 4 or 5 bedroom house, that gets used once a year during the holidays, and that's it. Well, that's a lot of expense for once a year. I mean, they could rent out a nice, VRBO vacation home for the week during the holidays, and everybody gets together in someplace nice, and then go back to your, a little, 2 bedroom or condominium that gets, a lot less expensive perhaps than trying to maintain the big house. Do we really need that? And that frees up potentially a ton of cash. Um, it just have a plan. Seek financial advice if you're having problems with this and you need someone to take a second look at it. That's what your financial advisor is supposed to do. So if you need help with that kind of thing, reach out. This is something we can look at. We can sort of look at your budget. We can look at your debts. We can create a debt pay down plan, a snowball plan. We have software to do that, and I've done that for a lot of people, and it's a really rewarding thing to do because they see this light at the end of the tunnel. They thought, man, how am I going to dig my way out of this? And I built a plan to dig your way out that's manageable. And sometimes it just takes another set of eyes. So that's another thing. get some advice. So while retirement is a time when you're going to want to live off of your assets, off of your savings, it's still important to save. It's still important to put money away. So an emergency fund is crucial for your financial stability. And there's going to be times when you have to dip into it. Don't feel bad. That's what it's there for. Be grateful that you have one. So having a clear plan on how to not only build one but to replenish it is really crucial when it comes time to use those funds. So if you have questions about what this means for you, or if you need help on creating the right retirement income for you, or maybe revamping that income, looking at making it, improving it, upgrading it, let's talk. Let's set up a time to meet and get together. So thanks so much for watching my video today. Hope this was helpful. Have a great day.